I like your order.
Alright. All rise for the judge.
Thank you, everyone. You may be seated. Today, we're going to continue with questioning the prosecution. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, defense. Defense can bring it.
Defense?
I like to call officer to stand.
Can you please state your name, please?
Olive Harrison.
All right. Can you describe what your mental health has been since high school?
It is very much fluctuated. I've never been in a stable state of mind.
When you were officially diagnosed, when were you officially diagnosed with bipolar disorder?
I would say senior year of high school.
What symptoms do you experience during that manic episode?
A rush of control over everything, like everything is, I see everything as like I see the beauty in everything, I see, like everything is, you know, just exaggerated, and I also lack sleep, too, like I don't,
You didn't get enough rest?
no,
Alright, did you ever attempt to hurt anyone?
no,
Since the incident, have you started taking medicine?
yes,
How much were you sleeping during that time?
little to none, probably more so none,
Were your thoughts moving at a normal pace, or did you feel fast paced and overwhelmed?
no.
How was your energy level compared to normal?
Compared to normal, it was very much heightened. There was a heightened sense of, you know, although I was tired, there was a level of energeticness.
Have you stopped taking lithium during the time?
Yes.
Why?
I felt like my behavior and my emotions were stable enough.
Do you feel like what you were doing had meaning or symbolism?
Yes.
In that moment, did the fire seem dangerous to you?
No.
Were you thinking about the consequences at all, or were you acting on emotion and impulse?
I was acting on emotion and impulse.
Do you remember being confused at the time, or the incident, or did your thoughts make sense to you at that time?
I was confused.
Is there anything you would like to say to the jury?
I just want to emphasize that bipolar mania is a very real and very scary aspect of mental illness. And I just wish for that to be taken into account.
I rest my case.
Thank you. Prosecution may continue with cross-examination.
You understand that you're under oath and required to tell the truth, correct?
Yes.
And you understand that your answers today must be accurate and honest, right?
Yes.
Can you describe what happened that day in your own words?
I woke up and I you know, like I previously said, I had not been sleeping prior, and I had also been experiencing withdrawals from the medication that I'd stopped. And I got in the studio that day and started creating elements of glass blowing. And my mindset was that I was gonna create something that was beautiful and that could inspire people. I had no harm to intent, I had no intent to harm anybody. Within the Manic episode, I just saw beauty in it all.
So what made you decide to go to the location where the fire started?
I just felt like it would be the best place for me to experiment.
Do you mind walking us through your actions step by step as you remember them when you got there?
I don't really recall, majority of them.
And I'm gonna ask you again, you do understand that you're under oath and required to tell the truth?
Yes.
At the time you entered the building, you knew gasoline is highly flammable, correct?
Yes.
And you understand that gasoline can cause a fast spreading fire.
Yes.
You were aware that setting a fire inside a public building could be dangerous?
I'm gonna say also, yes, and I also wanna emphasize that, although there was a lack of control within the episode that I was having, so there's not a lack of responsibility, but there's a lack of control that I was feeling during this episode.
Have you ever talked about wanting to make a big change in your life?
Yes.
What did you mean when you said that?
I felt like I was on top of the world and that I could, whatever change I was gonna make, i.e. the fire, I felt like it was, like I said prior, it was going to inspire and help people, bring out their creative sides.
Have you ever told a classmate that the fire would be symbolic?
Yes.
Have you ever mentioned wanting a creative rest?
Can you expand on
Have you ever said the words, "I want a creative rest"?
that? No.
Those statements described how you felt, but they didn't prevent you from understanding the consequences of your actions, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell us what state of mind you were in during the time of the fire?
I was in a state of confusion. I was in a state of almost a feeling of being high, on top of the world, and although I was extremely, I had not had sleep, I was very much, feeling energetic.
So, you said you hadn't slept, correct?
Correct.
But you continued to speak to others normally throughout, prior to and previous, or in post the fire? After the fire?
Are you asking?
Yes. Did you continuously talk to people before the fire and after the fire?
Yes.
You knew where you were and what you were doing throughout that period, correct?
No.
Okay. You didn't report any hallucinations or anything suggesting you lost touch to reality, correct?
I didn't report that? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Did you report it?
Just to anybody?
Yeah.
I believe I had reported it to my roommate. Or she was able to see and recognize that I was, there was a shift in my behavior.
And you're claiming that you were in a manic episode at the time of the crime, correct?
Yes.
When would you say that this manic episode started?
Objection, speculation, if she was in a manic episode, there's no way to definitively say, this is when it started, she was manic at the time.
Objection sustained.
Prosecution.
Defense, any further questions?
Alright, so the prosecution asked you if you knew what you were doing was dangerous, I'd like to rephrase the question. At the time, did you view it as dangerous or did you view it as creative?
I viewed it as creative.
Okay. And then she also asked you if you, the things you had been saying were symbolic. To you, are they symbolic? The creative reset, the fire cleanses?
Yes.
Okay. And she asked you about a loss of touch of reality. Did you lose touch with reality, or did you maybe, was this maybe, hold on. Did your roommate maybe confuse this, with the symbolism? You saying that the fire was a way to cleanse everything, the fire was a creative reset?
Objection, leading the witness.
Okay, I'll rephrase. These statements, right? Fire cleanses everything, fire is a reset. At the time, did you view those as, did they make sense to you?
No.
Okay, I'm done. All right.
Prosecution, any further questions?
Thank you all.
Would the defense bring the next witness to the stand?
Yes, I'd like to call her previous therapist. Please state your name and professional background.
My name is Dr. Anna Leslie Potts. I graduated from Mississippi State University in 3 years with a 4.0, and then continued my PhD program and graduated. And then I worked in a jail evaluating patients with bipolar disorder for about 5 years before doing private practice therapy.
And how long had you been treating Olive?
I treated Olive I treated her from February 2021 to November 2023, so about 2.5 years.
And why'd that treatment end?
Olive decided that she didn't really want to come see me anymore. She felt healthy, and I personally viewed it as a manic state, but you can't force someone to come to therapy.
And so what diagnosis did you give Olive?
Olive's symptoms were consistent with bipolar I disorder, with alternating periods of mania and depression.
And what symptoms were those?
She had periods of elevated mood, and she didn't need to sleep. She had rapid speech, and she spent a lot of money impulsively. And then her depression was fatigue, low motivation, social withdrawal. She didn't want to talk to me. She didn't want to talk to anyone. And then she was obviously unable to concentrate in sessions a lot of times when she was associated with mania.
And earlier you said that her refusal of care or not wanting to come to you, you assumed that was part of mania as well.
I believe so.
Had she ever shown that before?
She had been missing sessions, and eventually she would come back once she hit part of her depression, I assume. During this time, I referred her to a psychiatrist to, get her maybe some medication other than her prescribed cognitive behavioral therapy. But yeah.
Now, the prosecution's been mentioning confusion and hallucinations. Are those always consistent with mania?
Not always consistent with mania. There are some cases where they don't hallucinate. They just have very elevated symptoms and speech and behaviors, but not always hallucinations.
You described her sleeplessness. If she was experiencing a manic episode, would this sleeplessness actually affect her speech, or would she continue to be erratic in her guise?
She would continue to be erratic, because mania is the, abundance of energy and, heightened behavior. So she could go without sleep and still, have her erratic speech, which she often did.
And you know that she stopped lithium shortly before the incident?
I do not know that.
Do you think, well, she did, but do you think that withdrawal from lithium could worsen a possible manic episode?
Well, yes, for sure.
Okay. Would you expect withdrawal to intensify her mood symptoms as well as her sleeplessness and everything else?
Knowing Olive, any sort of change often does trigger her. So I think that a change, especially with medication, she would be extra sensitive to.
Are impulsive actions common during mania?
Very,
Are racing thoughts and emotional intensity common signs of mania?
very common.
Does mania cause distorted judgment even without psychosis?
Yes.
Hallucinations, extreme confusion, and like a lack of, like not being in touch with reality, do those fall under mania or would those fall under psychosis?
Well, I think the answer there is both. It would be a manic psychosis.
Do you think, giving Olive's treatment, do you think she ever exhibited signs of psychosis?
Yes.
Based on the behavior reported before the incident, the symptoms that she was showing, were they consistent with your diagnosis of her mania?
Yes.
Okay. Would someone experiencing those symptoms be able to fully think through their consequences?
No.
Okay. Do you think that even if they were able to think through their consequences, that they'd be able to appreciate the difference between right and wrong? Okay. Would mania make a person more likely to act quickly or symbolically?
Yes.
Okay. Could Olive's statements about the fire being creative or cleansing be consistent with mania?
Yes.
In your experience with Olive, does she become more impulsive and emotionally driven when manic?
When Olive is manic, she tends to be melodramatic, for sure. And I feel like that often causes impulsivity in her.
Would you expect her to appear normal or stable several weeks after the episode passed?
Yes.
So do you think that any test, and this is professional opinion, do you think that any tests performed after she had been medicated again would be considered relevant to her mental state at the time of the incident?
At the time of the incident, no.
Okay. Does improvement after the episode mean she wasn't experiencing mania earlier?
No.
Okay. Based on your long-term work with Olive, do you believe her mental illness influenced her behavior at the time?
I do.
Okay. Do you believe Olive's symptoms around that time affected her judgment?
I do.
Okay. I have no more questions.
Thank you. Prosecution, you may continue with cross-examination.
You treated the defendant in the past, correct?
Yes.
Your treatment relationship ended before the date of the incident.
Yes, it ended in November 2023.
So you were not actively treating her at the time of the fire.
I was not.
You have not evaluated her recently enough to know her current mental state firsthand.
No.
During your treatment, you only saw her during scheduled sessions, correct?
Yes.
And you had no way to monitor her behavior between those appointments.
No.
And your understanding of her mental health was based on what she reported to you.
Yes.
And self-reports aren't the most reliable, correct?
Correct.
And you weren't you weren't present at the fire, correct?
No.
You did not observe her in the days immediately leading up to the incident, correct?
No.
Your opinions rely on historical information, not continuous evaluation.
Yes.
Therapeutic treatment does not determine legal insanity, correct?
No.
Your role to support her mental health does not assess criminal responsibility, correct?
Can you repeat the question?
Your role to support her mental health does not assist criminal responsibility, correct?
Correct.
And treatment records are not the same as a forensic evaluation.
Correct.
While treating her, did she consistently attend these sessions and follow instructions?
Not consistently when she was manic.
She demonstrated the ability to understand and communicate clearly in these sessions?
Not when she was manic.
You never determined she was unable to distinguish from right from wrong during treatment?
No.
And you cannot state with certainty that she is legally insane or legally incapable at the time of the fire?
No.
Does all mania cause criminal action?
No.
The prosecution rests.
Defense, any further questions?
Yes.
During manic episodes, is it common to see impulsivity, poor judgment, and risky behavior?
Yes.
You observe an elevated mood, decreased sleep, rapid speech, and impulsive behavior in her, correct?
Yes.
Would you consider those symptoms to impair clear decision making?
Yes.
Could a person in a manic state engage in dangerous behavior without intending harm?
Yes.
So someone like Olive experiencing mania might do something reckless without malicious intent, correct?
Mm-hmm.
In your professional opinion, can mania distort a person's ability to recognize danger?
Yes.
So during a period of medication withdrawal, a person may become significantly less able to control their actions.
Yes.
Would decreased treatment and participation make her more vulnerable to severe mood swings?
Absolutely.
Is it fair to say her condition can worsen without continual care? Olive was referred due to difficulty maintaining academic performance. Can academic stress trigger manic or depressive episodes?
And Olive, yes.
Is it possible for a person experiencing mania to perform an act such as lighting a fire without understanding its consequences?
Yes.
So in your expert opinion, her actions could have stemmed from severe mental illness rather than criminal intent?
Yes.
I rest my case.
I do have 2 more
Yeah.
questions. Real quickly, I'd like you to, repeat to me, how you got started, like your schedule, like school schedule, and then what you did before you were a therapist.
So I graduated, from Mississippi State and got my PhD, also from Mississippi State. And then I went and worked in Parchment Prison, working with criminals who had bipolar disorder and kind of helping them through that. We conducted research as well.
Okay, given that you work with people extensively with bipolar disorder specifically, would you say that your opinion on Olive was a little more valid than others because you extensively studied bipolar disorder?
I would say so because I have seen it within a criminal, frame network. And I know, the processes that go into it.
So you did work in the criminal justice, like you worked in the prison system. Given the fact that you've treated Olive, you know Olive, do you think that prison versus mental health would be better for her?
Objection, opinion.
Objection sustained.
Given your experience, have you seen it help before?
With bipolar patients, a lot of times the prison system worsens their symptoms, especially if they're not given the medication that they need.
Or in the case?
Prosecution, any further questions?
They don't get any.
They don't.
Sorry.
Next witness. Witness, you may step down. Defense, if you'd like to call up the next witness.
I'd like to call up the expert witness.
Yeah, continue.
First off, can you just state your professional background?
My name's Lauren Hamilton. I am a forensic psychologist. I earned my bachelor's degree at Mississippi State in 2015, and I graduated there. I earned my PhD at Sam Houston University in 2021, and I've been working as a evaluator forensic psychologist for 9 years now.
Okay. And what were you asked to evaluate regarding Olive?
I was asked to evaluate her mental state at the time of the offense. So as she testified,
How long after the fire did you evaluate her?
about a week after.
Okay. What materials did you review in forming your opinion?
I reviewed the police reports, her mental background, her mental I reviewed her mental health records and also police reports with the crime.
Okay. Based on your review, what was your diagnosis of Olive's condition?
Based on my review, I diagnosed her as not guilty by reason of insanity. When I interviewed her, I took her through a cognitive interview, and I tried to assess her MSO, which is her mental state at the time of the offense. I tried to assess her based on the DSM diagnoses of bipolar 1, but particularly pertaining to the time of the crime, asking her questions about her behavior related to the time of the crime. And all of her answers gave me reason to believe that she was not mentally capable to understand what she was doing was wrong, and therefore I ruled her not guilty of this.
What symptoms of mania did she describe experiencing before and during the incident?
So when I asked her about her state of mind entering the studio, she told me that she was feeling very elated and strong, and, she was talking about like having the mindset of, having a certain vision, and like a lot of like grandiosity, a lot of delusions of creating something. These statements, were reflecting like manic distorted reasoning, where she reframed the dangerous act as creative, which supported the idea that she did not appreciate the real world consequences of what she was about to do. She was also told me that she had not been sleeping, but she was still experiencing very high energy and erratic speech like before the incident. She told me she hadn't slept for days. And I know from experience that severe sleep loss and mixed with mania gives her high risk for manic psychosis like state, which directly impairs reality testing, which supports why she wouldn't be able to justify her actions being harmful.
Did you take into account, in your performing of your opinion, her withdrawal from lithium?
I did. She informed me that she had been off lithium, before the incident for about 3 weeks. And, based on that, she told me that like because of that, her symptoms became intensified and she could not come back from those feelings of, very high states of energy and, mania. And, based on that, her statement shows that she was mentally overwhelmed and unable to regulate her behavior or appraise her judgment. She describes losing control during the interview. She describes that, and that supported the legal prong, of, which is the legal prong of, the model penal code of, not being able to, stop herself from acting. It's the second prong of the model penal code there too. Her manic state, rendered her unable to appreciate the criminality of her conduct, which is the first, prong of the model penal code. And then her disorder substantially impaired her ability to stop herself from acting, which is the second prong.
Okay. The prosecution asked, several questions about hallucinations and confusion. Are those symptoms required for somebody to be in a manic episode?
No, they're not.
Okay, in Olive's case, were her symptoms more consistent with mania, the racing thoughts, the sleeplessness, the impulsive behavior?
Yes.
Okay, is it common for somebody in mania to seem alert and articulate on the surface while still having impaired judgment?
Yes.
Okay, would her sleeplessness affect her speech and behavior if she was experiencing a manic episode?
Yes.
Okay. Do people experiencing mania often act quickly, emotionally, or symbolically?
Yes.
Based on your experience with the absence of hallucinations or confusion, rule out a manic episode entirely.
Can you repeat the question, sir?
Based on your experience with the exclusion of confusion and hallucinations as symptoms, rule out the possibility of a manic episode entirely.
No.
Okay. How do symptoms like racing thoughts, no sleep, and inflated energy impact your judgment?
In a lot of different ways, they can like, completely affect the way that you view reality. They can also, like I said, like the sleep loss especially can, put you like with a mix of mania can put you in a high risk manic psychosis like state, especially in, a case with someone with bipolar disorder, bipolar I disorder, and like her state of mind entering the studio shows that, like she told me herself that she, felt very, high and erratic, and her thoughts were racing, and she didn't know, how to control them, and so based on that, she couldn't really tell right from wrong or, what was going on.
Did Olive describe grandiose or symbolic ideas related to the fire?
Yes.
So there's a-
When she was describing it to me, told me that, her main idea going into setting the fire was, it was gonna be a creative reset and, something to show the world, something to change the world was one of her, phrases. And, that's definitely, she says, it goes back to creating something beautiful. The fire made her feel liberated and an elevated state of mind. She was starting a new chapter, I remember she said that, and she felt as if it was not harmful, just a way to release creativity.
And are those phrases typical of manic thinking?
And that is definitely grandiose thinking.
Okay, can a person experiencing mania appear organized while still having impaired insight?
Yeah.
Okay. Can a person experiencing mania still appear erratic and energetic despite extreme sleeplessness?
Yes.
How does lithium withdrawal impact judgment and impulse control?
Withdrawal from any drug can impact you in a severe way, but lithium especially, can definitely, it's a very, very strong drug, and it can, in her words, when she experienced withdrawal from her lithium, her feelings of mania and her symptoms became intensified, and she couldn't come back from those feelings. She felt like she didn't have much control over anything she experienced anymore, regarding her symptoms. And she was alluding to the fact that she felt very mentally overwhelmed regarding her symptoms now that she doesn't really have much control over them. And she was unable to regulate her behavior or appraise her judgment, now that she didn't have a way to regulate them.
Were you aware that the National Institute of Health published a study that proved that the rate at which you stop lithium is directly tied to the chance for relapse of mania?
I'm not aware that that makes sense.
Did Olive report difficulty recalling parts of the incident?
Yes, she did. The only thing that she could recall to me was her way of thinking entering the studio, and when I tried to conduct some sort of cognitive interview, I asked her to describe some of the sights, sounds, smells, as she was in the studio, but she heard some of her actions, and she said that she was unable to recall any of that. She was just able to recall some of her thought processes entering it because she felt them so strongly as she entered.
Are memory gaps consistent with severe mania? In your expert opinion, did she appreciate the consequences of that?
Appreciate the consequences of her actions.
Like understand, like this is wrong, apart from like, hey, this is what I need to do.
Based on what she said, she told me after she was out of the manic state, she felt like she had some sort of remorse, for what she did because she knew that that was something wrong, but, she told me while she was in the manic state, she was unable to understand what right and wrong was. Like she just had an urge to perform this message. I guess that's what she was saying.
Did Olive, during your interviews, did Olive express feeling overwhelmed or unable to like come back from the incident?
Yes, she, especially talking about her withdrawal from lithium, she said she was unable to, come back from her feelings of mania, and she felt like she was overwhelmed with them and, had no control control over them anymore.
Okay, during your interviews, would you describe Olive as being typically down or lacking energy?
During the interviews, she wasn't very energized, I would say.
Her therapist reported that she did experience depressive manic episodes as well. Do you think that that behavior could be consistent with depressive episodes that often follow manic episodes?
Yes.
Okay. In your expert opinion, what role did Olive's mental illness play into the events that occurred?
In my professional opinion, I believe that, Olive's manic episode severely impaired her ability to appreciate the wrongfulness of setting fire or to control her behavior.
Thank you.
Prosecution.
Your Honor, the prosecution would like to file a motion to strike and exclude the expert testimony from the record regarding the defendant's mental state based on explicit requirements of Rule 12.3 under Mississippi Rules of Criminal Procedure and the inherent authority of the court to enforce discovery mandates. The defense provided notice of its intent to claim the defense of insanity, which under Rule 12.3 mandatorily triggers the requirement that the state be furnished with unredacted copies of all underlying expert reports. To date, the defense has failed to provide this required unredacted report. This is a clear, undisputed breach of fundamental discovery obligation. The defense's failure to disclose the foundational expert report is highly prejudicial to the state's ability to ensure a fair trial. Without the complete report, the state is denied the ability to understand the specific methodologies, factual predicates, subjective statements relied upon by the defense expert. We are unable to prepare for effective cross-examination, which is essential to testing the credibility and reliability of the expert's opinion. The integrity of this process depends on the enforcement of discovery rules. Given the severe prejudice caused by the defense's violation, the state requests that the court impose the necessary sanction of excluding the defense's expert testimony on the issue of the defendant's sanity. Any less remedy would unfairly compromise the state's ability to prosecute this case.
I appreciate the motion. I'm gonna ask you to cross-examine the witness before I make a decision.
Who requested you to conduct this evaluation of the defendant?
The defense team did,
Are you being compensated for your work in this case?
yes.
How much would you say you're being compensated?
I would say, probably about
Counsel, can you repeat the question, please?
How much are you being compensated for this case per hour?
per hour, $25.
I did send it. I sent it to your email, so that was.
Thank you.
The average forensic psychologist gets paid between $250 and $600 per hour, is that correct?
Well, I'm being criminally underpaid then.
So what's so different about this case that made you take it for $25?
I felt very passionate about, this case. I specifically did study, bipolar 1 in my, undergrad, and, I did do a lot of it in my graduate studies as well with, the Texas, prison systems, at San Houston, and, I felt like my expertise could be used here.
You said you had been working as an evaluator for 9 years, but you graduated in 2021. That's only 4 years ago, correct?
Correct.
To be evaluated, you have to have a PhD, correct?
Correct.
And you graduated in 2021 with a PhD, correct? How many hours did you spend interviewing the defendant?
I spent, I think about 2 hours.
So your assessment was very brief, correct? You only observed her for 2 hours, correct? How many times have you testified for the defense in criminal cases?
I have, just for the defense? I'd say about 50 times,
How many times have you testified for the prosecution?
40, 30 to 35 to 40.
Would you agree that your role in this case was limited to evaluating the defendant for an insanity claim?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that your evaluation is primarily based on what the defendant told you?
Yes.
You weren't present during the fire, were you? And you did not interview the fire investigators, correct?
Correct.
You also didn't interview all the defendant's classmates, roommates, did you?
I did not.
So your evaluation lacked input from people who observed her daily behavior firsthand, right?
Right.
When basing your opinion on subject's personal history, is it a fair professional practice to attempt to verify the claims through all collateral sources?
It was fair. I wasn't able to, at the time, but
So you relied mostly on the defendant's self-report and not objective testing, correct? As the defendant has a vested interest in the outcome of this case, wouldn't you agree that their self-report account carries a risk of distortion or exaggeration?
there is a risk, yes.
You did not use physical evidence or police reports of the offenses to form your opinion, correct?
I did use police reports and, mental, like her mental, history.
Please explain.
I evaluated the case itself through the police reports. And then I also evaluated her mental history, based on, like, from her past.
When conducting a forensic evaluation for litigation, are you trained to account for the possibility that a patient might be unconsciously or consciously tailoring their statements?
There is a risk of that, yes.
You have no way of knowing whether the defendant's description of her symptoms were the alleged manic episode were completely accurate given her current legal situation, correct? Would you concede that professional assessment based purely on the client's memory and past symptoms is less precise than an assessment made by observation and medical charting?
Yes.
In the hierarchy of reliable evidence for the psychological diagnosis, where does a subjective unverified self-report fall compared to clinical test results?
I mean, it would fall under it, but, like, I still believe a proper cognitive interview and diagnosing someone based off of the DSM is of great value when it comes to assessing someone psychologically.
You administered no test that can actually diagnose legal insanity, correct?
Correct.
And you can't measure criminal intent with a psychological test, can you?
No.
Did you use any formal testing for malingering or symptom exaggeration?
No.
You did not administer the most comprehensive malingering assessment available. And even the malingering, is it possible for someone to intentionally exaggerate mental symptoms to avoid responsibility?
Yes.
Does having a mental health diagnosis automatically mean that someone cannot understand their actions?
No.
Are your conclusions dependent on the assumption that the defendant was fully truthful?
Say that again, sorry.
Does the mental health diagnosis are your conclusions dependent on the assumption that the defendant was fully truthful?
Yes.
Is it fair to say another forensic psychologist could review the same information and reach a different conclusion?
Possibly, yes.
You are aware she brought containers filled with gasoline, correct?
Yes.
And that type of preparation requires planning, doesn't it?
Yes.
She attempted to avoid detection, didn't she?
I would assume so. I can't speak on that.
Objection, speculation, she was wearing a hoodie, there's no way to tell, like specifically that she was trying to avoid being recognized.
Objection sustained. Please move on.
You acknowledge that high moods and lows does not equal legal insanity, correct?
Correct.
Many people experience mood swings and still understand right from wrong, correct?
Correct.
And nothing in her mood symptoms would legally prevent her from forming intent, correct?
Correct.
You understand that legal insanity is a legal definition, not a clinical one, correct?
Correct.
And you cannot say whether she was unable to understand wrongfulness of her actions, can you?
Repeat that, I'm sorry.
You cannot say she was unable to understand the wrongfulness of her actions, can you?
Objections, I mean, that's leading, there's no option for that question.
Objection overruled. Please answer the question.
Based on my assessment, I mean, I have assessed her ability to know wrong from right, but I can't know that for sure.
But you only talked to her for 2 hours, correct?
Correct.
You cannot say she was unable to control her behavior, can you?
No.
So you cannot testify that she met legal standards for insanity.
Your Honor, I mean, can you repeat that question?
So you cannot testify that she met legal standard for insanity.
On what grounds? Any? All I can say is based on my interview with her and what I have assessed, I testify that she is.
And your examination took a year and 8 months after the crime occurred, correct?
A year and 8 months?
Asked and answered, objection, I already asked her that, she said it was a week after.
Sustained.
It's time to go, so should I just end? I have more questions.
So do
I also have a question.
Okay, let's pause on your questions, let's have the defense go, and then, yeah, finish.
Alright. So I have a copy here of the prosecution's forensic expert report. I'm gonna compare the two, if that's alright. So I'm gonna list 4 sources of information that she had, and I'd like you to just say yes or no if you use them as well.
Okay.
Interview with the defendant.
Yes,
Review of relevant psychological and medical history.
yes,
Behavioral observation during evaluation.
yes,
Okay, and the collateral information provided by the legal team.
yes.
You didn't conduct any tests during your interview, did you?
No, I just used, other than like an actual cognitive interview and, an assessment of like a diagnosis using like the DSM and, at the, like, but mainly looking at the time of her symptoms, like at the time of the offense.
Would you have conducted, if you could, would you have conducted an IQ test? And would IQ have any relevant standing on her manic state?
If I had more time, like I said, I only had 2-3 hours, like, I would have conducted more tests. But yes, IQ, I'm willing to, like, I would have collected a lot more data than the time allowed me to, but.
Do you think that an average IQ would have affected her understanding of the incident at all?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Do you know what the MacArthur Competence Assessment Tool Test is?
Yes,
Okay. Do you know what the MMPI-2 test is? Would you have conducted that?
yes,
Okay. Now, you are aware, and I'm sure the forensic prosecution expert was aware, that the MMPI-2 test does not test clinical standing at the time of the incident, and a test at the time of the trial. So would you have, if you would have done this test, would you also have taken measures to assure that she was, manic at the time? Other tests as well?
yes, absolutely.
In your expert opinion, would somebody who left out those tests be a reliable witness? Or have reliable testimony?
Left out the testing of the time of the crime, or just left out the
If
test?
somebody conducted a test that was designed to test competency in the moment rather than at the time of the incident, and didn't conduct a test about the time of the incident?
If you're specific, I mean, if your job is specifically to look for mental state at time of crime, and you're not assessing that, I would say that that's not.
So if somebody included on the report that after taking the MMPI-2 test, that no significant elevations on clinical scales indicative of severe mental illness at the time of the offense, results suggested intentional behavior, not psychosis or mania, you'd say that that result was skewed and incorrect because it cannot measure it at the time of the incident.
Objection, leading the witness.
Okay, I'll rephrase. Given that what you just heard, is that true or untrue given what the test is?
It can typically only assess the person here and now, not at the time of crime, so.
In your expert opinion, why do you think somebody would administer that test and then pass it off as something else?
Possibly to, I mean, it is a highly accredited test, however, like you said, it does not fully assess mental state at the time of crime or MSO. Therefore, they probably just used it to get a quick and easy answer.
Now that last question was assuming intentionality. What if, let's say the expert just didn't know? What would you assume about that expert, in your opinion, as somebody who's trained and a certified forensic psychologist?
Just didn't know that.
What the test did, just conduct it.
Okay, that would.
Would it harm their credentiality?
Yeah, I mean, it would be reckless if you're fully didn't know.
Do you think that your, evaluation would have been more reliable if you conducted all these tests that, kind of are useless?
Possibly. Knowing the fact that some of these tests cannot fully assess mental state at the time of the crime, I chose to assess her using the cognitive interview, using the DSM, using the diagnosis, but more tailoring my questions towards her mental state at the time of the crime, more tailoring it towards her time of that panic state, because I knew that those tests didn't assess the time of the crime, if that makes sense.
So, in the lens of this interview, which was to assess what she was doing at the time, do you think it has, given the test I showed you, the IQ test, the MMPI-2, can it make any logical implications or any logical, anything at all basically on her mental state at the time of the crime?
I feel like it can relate, if her, train of thought is still the same as it was at the time of the crime, then yes, but typically, especially based on panic, cases, it can be up and down. It's a lot of different thought processes at once, and her thoughts as she's taking the test, as she's being assessed, can be completely different than when she committed the crime. She did. So.
Just one last question. Given the fact that these tests were conducted several weeks after the incident, when the defendant was already medicated, do you think that these tests would show her unmedicated state or her medicated state?
Yeah.
Didn't show her medicated state?
Right.
Okay, and that's when her behavior was reported normal?
Right.
Okay, that was my.
So we're gonna take a recess for today, and the prosecution will come back on Friday to finish up cross-examinations. I'm going to also just say that in this case, or for forensic psychology in general, for the jury to know, and we learned this in class, that only 5% of cases such as Olive's case and competency cases, only 5% of those use tests such as the MMPI or diagnostic interviews. Most of it is clinical judgment. So take that in consideration when you're determining whether or not the expert witnesses are factual.
No, and we will have to say, we did submit everything
Yeah.
to, and.
Motion has been denied.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
We said to do that.